For today's recipe, we're going to be using a pressure cooker, Instant Pot specifically, because this is going to save us a lot of time in the cooking. Because if you were to do this on a pot, it's going to take you a few hours. With this, we're going to go about roughly 45, maybe an hour long, depending on how much we have. And the ingredients that we're going to need are going to be some frozen vegetable scraps that we have been collecting. In here, I've got an assortment of like carrots, onion, garlic, peppers. There's some herbs in there. So depending on what you have, the flavor is going to change. So don't feel bad if like it doesn't taste the same from this time and for the next time. So it all depends on what you have available, but just use what you have, okay? We're going to be using some bones. These were bones from some rotisserie, store-bought rotisserie. And let's start by opening up our Instant Pot. We'll unlock it. It makes a sound to let you know that it's awake. Good morning to you too. Now we're going to add our bones. Bones, 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 bones. Tell me what you're gonna do. I'm gonna get real juicy and flavorful. Let's add our vegetable scraps. Just gonna dump it all in. The key thing is you want to be able to take the lid and still be able to close it up. Here I've got probably a good maybe close to 2 inches of space, so that's plenty of space. When you're adding your water, you just want to make sure that you have at least enough water to where it pressurizes, because we can add water to this later and that'll help us with the adjusting period. I just put in about 6 cups of water for this one, and that's going to be plenty for now. Let's close it, and there you have a closed and open line. So with the arrow, you want to align that arrow with this arrow here, right there. Just drop it down and then turn it to the direction close. That'll line up these arrows together, and that's how you know it's closed. Then we're going to take this the button here. You see how that's blinking? That's the setting that it's on. So we can turn right or we can turn left, and we want to go all the way to pressure cook. And because it's blinking, that's saying that that's the one that it's selecting. So to select it, you're going to push the knob in the middle. So you see how everything grays out, or rather darkens? Now we know we have it on pressure cook. And the middle part, or rather the top part where the time is, it's saying that this is where it's at, so the time. So we're gonna push the button. So now we're selecting the time. And for this, we're going to go all the way to, let's start off with 30 minutes. Because my chicken is not frozen. My chicken is actually, it's refrigerated. Only my vegetables were frozen. So the bones won't take as long to like come to temperature. So 30 minutes should be good. We're gonna push the button again, the knob, that'll select it. And we want it on high. Everything's good. So now that we have the setting that we want, we're going to push the start button. And you see how it's starting to preheat. The nice thing about the Instant Pot Ultra feature is that like with the older ones, the older models, you have to make sure that the vents are closed, that they're closed off. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't pressurize. This one, it automatically closes for you. So after you have your setting done, then you can just walk away. And the timer will let you know, like, you know, it'll go beep, beep when it starts to cook. And then it'll also make a beep, beep noise when it is done cooking. So we're gonna walk away from this for now. It's done cooking. Now it's at keeping it warm. As soon as it was done pressurizing cooking, it made a beep, beep, beep noise, but I wasn't fast enough to get my camera over here. But from this point, now we're just going to let it rest, essentially, for about another 30 minutes. So we're just going to let it naturally cool off. There's going to be heat that will release from the vent slowly. So for this point, just wait. Set yourself on a timer on your clock or whatever, right? But it's gonna start counting up, and we'll come back in about 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes. So now we're done. We're going to go ahead and push the button cancel right there. All right, you see how the change settings? So now it's done. And then there's still pressure inside. So we want to go ahead and release that pressure. And so you see this valve right here? That's why we're going to push to release the steam. The steam is hot. It's going to come out of this valve. That's why it has the holes on there. And whenever you do this, you want to make sure you keep a good distance away from it, just so that, you don't get burned by it, right? So what we're going to do is you can push the button here. I know some people are terrified. And so if it makes you feel more comfortable, push one of these, like a tong or something. I've been using this Instant Pot for many years now, so I'm quite comfortable with it. So we're just going to push that button. And you see, now the steam's coming out. And because we let it sit and release, or rather just sit there for 30 minutes, it's not gonna have a whole lot of steam coming out. We're gonna wait until the all of the steam comes out, and you'll know because it'll stop making the sound. Okay, so the pin drop, which is the middle part. Now, there's still a little bit of steam coming out. At this point, you should be okay. To remove the lid, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the handle. And remember that line that it had where it said close and then open, and the arrows point up, or they matched up? You're going to take the lid and you're going to turn it all the way to where it matches up with the other arrow. So, there it triggers. And then when you pull the lid away, always pull it away from your body so that the steam can go away from your body. If I were to do it this way, then the steam will blow towards my body, which is unsafe. So we want to take the safe route, and we're going to do like that. And there is going to be steam that collects on the lid as well. So I usually bring it close to the pot itself, and I shake it off just a bit so that that hot water doesn't drip on me. And then we'll set that to the side. So our vegetable has cooked down quite a bit. If I were to press on this, it will probably turn to mush. We're just gonna let this cool down for just a bit before we start to strain it. Our broth has cooled. To be quite honest, I kind of forgot about it. I got sidetracked, but that's okay, because whenever you're making chicken broth, when it's cooled down, it's fine. It's something that, it's very forgivable because you want it cooled down. Since this is cool, it's actually cool to the touch, I can go ahead and lift this off and then move it to the sink. Now, if it's not cool enough, or rather the lid is hot, because you have to be careful, this is hot, okay? Chances are you're probably going to be a more responsible adult than I am, and you'll just wait 30 minutes to let it cool down, right? You can get some pot holders and then just lift it up, but you want to be careful because this model does not have a handle, so you're going to be lifting it directly here. So let's move this out to the sink. In our sink, we have a container, a deep container, and we're going to put in there a strainer. Let that pour in. All right, it's getting chunky. So what you can also do is you can just press down. We just don't want to waste any of that good flavor, right? So we just want to squeeze it down. You can also add water. Pour it over. And this is the result so far. Now, what do you do with this stuff? If you're a gardener, you can compost this. There is a Japanese method called bokashi. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but I'll put the name in the at the bottom of the screen. But you can bokashi compost this so that it doesn't go to waste and you can, get another use out of it. When I first started this process, I didn't add any salt to it because I really wanted the flavors to blend in, and because I knew I was going to add water. That's why I didn't add any salt, because I know there would be a difference in the change in flavor. So let's go ahead and let's give this a taste. You can definitely taste the carrots and the herbs in there. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and finish seasoning it up. So I'm just going to add some salt. You just add how much ever you want. Everyone has their own preference, right? And then we're going to do a few cracks of black pepper. There's no real recipe for how much salt or black pepper that you need to use this, because again, it's all up to whoever's taste bud is, because some people prefer a saltier broth and some people prefer a less salty broth because maybe their future dishes will have salt in it. I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste. I'm going to do just a little bit more salt because I did add a lot of water to this broth. And then we're going to do another stir. All right, let's give it one more taste. Okay, I like that. Now, typically when you pour the broth into the container, it's best to do it over a sink, just, you know, for the ease of the mess, right? In case you splatter or spill or whatever, right? But because my lighting is better here and because my sink light makes like a weird buzzing noise, I didn't want that to drive y'all crazy. So I'm going to do it over the counter. I'm just going to be real careful by using this spout. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to fill it all the way, well, as much as we can. This container, I know that like once the liquid freezes, it will expand. So you want to keep that in mind, is that like give yourself some room for the liquid to expand whenever it freezes. So I usually go about to that very bottom line on this container, and that gives me plenty of room for expansion. We're gonna let this cool down. Once it cools down, we're going to put a lid on it, and then it goes in the freezer. Oh, I missed a line. You can also put the date at the end. So this way you remember when it was made and how long it's been forgotten in the freezer. So we ended up with 2 large containers and 1 medium size, half of a medium sized container. This one I'm probably gonna put in the refrigerator to use here pretty soon. These 2, however, I'm gonna go ahead and freeze them. One thing I will note is that, like, you see how deep that color is? That's a really, really well seasoned broth. When you buy box broth or canned broth, it tends to be very, very light in color. It tends to have less seasoning, but it has a lot of sodium, right? So when we make our own broth, we control how much salt goes in there, we control how much flavor in there, and we control what kind of flavor goes. So really, I think this is definitely worth your time and your money, because your food's gonna taste so good. It's gonna have so much love. And look, you made it. You used stuff that was laying around the house. You made a wonderful broth, which is going to make into a beautiful meal. If you found this helpful and you want to find ways of, like, you know, using stuff you have around the house to make some delicious meals, consider the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber yet. Have a blessed day, y'all. Take care now. Thanks. Bye-bye.